film represents the totality of everything we've discussed and everything we've seen in smaller versions in his other films. The idea of the Madonna, of grace, and most importantly, of mask and face. I mean, this film invites us to be the paparazzi. It's where the word paparazzi even comes from the character paparazzo. Federico Fellini was an avid Jungian. Another way of thinking of mask and face is, in Jungian terms, anima and animus. You know, this film is all about art and women and the male gaze. Now, Jung talked about, for example, Eve. It's like this sexual creature. Who is like the first encounter Marcello has. He basically sleeps with her and leaves her. That she's an object of desire. It's just desire fulfilled. It's totally masturbatory and childlike, and that's it. It's a transient thing. That's all that she really is. Then there's Sylvia, who in Jungian terms would be known as Helen. That's Anita Ekberg, who, like the Viking she was, didn't even ask for anything while Marcello had a whole wetsuit underneath his tuxedo. That whole famous scene in Trevi, she was a total Viking. She did it like nothing. So in a way, she was a bit like the real Helen herself. And in the movie, if you see, she's always on the go, always on the go. And he says to her, I want you to be my mother, my sister, he's laying on her, like, very needy, like, whoa, daddy, you want her to be your what? Like, but he's being honest. Like, in Jungian terms, it's like, I want you to be my mother. I want you to be my lover. I want you to be my sister. I want you, all these incompatible things. And it's crazy to put those expectations on a human being, and yet, as a romantic and also as a kind of a bit of a flim-flam charlatan, he does. And the grass is always greener, and he has a lover that he also, treats like shit, basically. Whether or not there could be love there or ever was, we don't know. All we know is that he keeps her around, and he even, makes the attempt at normalcy with her. And you wonder why torture the poor girl if you're not interested? She really does seem to love him. Now you have, it ends with the woman of wisdom, and that's the poet. She's not threatening. She's not a sex object. And she's the one who gives him the truth as it is, because he can listen, because he's not blinded by desire. And then this whole movie is about people blinded by desire and unable to listen to the truth. Fellini's denying grace. Think of it. Zampano gets grace. Fellini is God. He's not, it's like, who's giving grace to these characters? They're begging the Madonna and everything. They're being failed by the church. And Fellini's critical of the church. And he worked with Pasolini, a communist atheist, who worked closely with him on this movie. And yet they both believed in grace. And they believed in salvation in humanistic terms. Zampano's hit with the grace of knowing that he was loved by someone that was extraordinary. He's a worm, but my God, he was, even as a worm, somehow redeemed and loved by her. That grace is not, it is kept from Marcello. He's speaking. We don't know what she's saying, but it's grace, essentially. The message is hope, salvation. But he waves it off. And Fellini doesn't give Marcello grace. Grace that he gave Cabiria, grace that he gave Zampano, grace that he gave a lot of other complex characters. And if you look at Steiner and his end and everything, it's a pretty bleak film. And I think that final moment is occluding its face. It's like he can't hear it. He's deaf to grace. He's deaf to salvation. I think it's a bleak film, the movie, as Martin Scorsese said, the movie that took over the world, La Dolce Vita.